Supporting Libya's rebels was a gamble for the West, but has the gamble paid off? Now the ragtag rebel army is Libya's government, will the NTC's wartime allies find themselves rewarded with rich contracts, or is Libya's nightmare still far from over?
It's not easy to eradicate or to eliminate 42 years such like this.
Sporadic rifle fire between the two positions. Each side is reinforcing their forward lines. The situation here is definitely deteriorating fast.
Is the country now descending into tribal warfare, lawlessness and growing chaos? In this episode we ask, can Libya's rebel government win the peace? 3 months after their capture of Tripoli, Libya's NTC leadership is slowly building the framework of the new Libya. But now the NTC has won the war, can it keep the peace? Across Libya, a packed calendar of revolutionary festivals like this one in rural Imisalata aims to consolidate popular support for the new government. But the politicians aren't the star attraction.
Even in this tiny town deep in the Libyan countryside, the most powerful men in the revolutionary leadership are being mobbed like celebrities.
Militia commanders and their armed entourages turn up like VIPs to an award ceremony. The great and the good of the new Libya are all here today. The NTC's top brass are warmly greeted by local militia commanders and tribal leaders. Few in this town supported the revolution until the very end, when its success seemed certain. Security is tight, both for the NTC's VIPs and for the host of European and Arab diplomats and businessmen in attendance. Countries like France, Britain and Italy, who supported the revolution from the beginning with advice and airstrikes, expect their gamble to be amply repaid with oil contracts. Countries like Germany, who stood by the sidelines, will have to work much harder. But for all the foreigners busy networking with the NTC leadership, the key question is security. Without stability, Libya's flow of oil to Europe can't be guaranteed. And the keys to stability in the new Libya are the local military commanders. Men who 6 months ago were small businessmen or retired mid-ranking military officers now find themselves fawned over by European diplomats.
والله الوضع الأمني يعني ما شاء الله في تحسن باستمرار كل يوم أحسن من يوم والأمور هادية والوضع مستقر ونسير من أحسن إلى أحسن.
Libya's war was won by local militias. Untrained civilians took up arms in towns and cities across the country to defend the revolution. The NTC leadership in Benghazi only had control of the fighters in eastern Libya, militarily by far the least successful of the revolutionary forces. Now the NTC and its weak national army has moved to Tripoli, it wants the powerful local militias to disarm. Abdul Hakim Belhaj is a military commander of Tripoli. A former jihadist fighter in North Africa and Afghanistan, Belhaj is funded and supported by Qatar and distrusted by many of the more powerful militias. In November, Libya's outgoing Prime Minister accused Qatar of seeking too great a political role in the new Libya. Qatar is accused of secretly arming Belhaj and other minority Islamist militias without the NTC's permission. Many Libyans also resent the demolishing of venerated Sufi shrines by Wahhabi Islamists, a practice Belhaj has publicly condemned. The Zintan Brigade is still occupying Tripoli's international airport months after the fall of the capital. When Belhaj ordered them to return to their distant mountains, the Zintanis issued a warrant for his arrest. In late November, the Zintanis arrested Belhaj as he tried to travel to Turkey to arm the Syrian rebels. Only intervention from the NTC leadership secured his release.
We've come to Tripoli International Airport, now the main base for the fighters from the Western Mountains, to meet the commander of the Zintan Brigade, Mukhtar al-Akhtar.
Control of Tripoli's airport is a powerful bargaining chip for the Zintanis, and they don't want to give it up. Your thawar here, are from Zintan.
Yeah.
They're in Tripoli now.
Yeah.
The war is over. Tripoli is secure. So will your fighters, your Thawar, will they go back to Zintan?
Yeah, maybe to back Zintan after a system for the army. I took army and after on the system for the army and police. After I go back Zintan, no problem. But I know Libya is not as good as quality for there's not safety because I know not have a military for Libya. Police is not ready.
2 days after this interview, Mukhtar al-Akhtar's forces captured Saif al-Islam, the former dictator's son, deep in Libya's southern desert. They rushed him to Zintan and refused to surrender him to the NTC leadership in Tripoli for trial. The Zintanis have been accused of widespread looting in the capital. In some Tripoli suburbs, checkpoints of local fighters loyal to Belhaj have been set up to prevent armed Zintanis entering. With only a fledgling national army and a police force reduced to traffic duty, the regional militias are judge and jury in the new Libya. The UN has condemned a vast hidden network of private jails run by militia commanders, where up to 7,000 suspected Gaddafi loyalists have been detained without trial. Now many Libyans, especially in Tripoli, think that the profusion of rival military brigades isn't promoting security in Libya, but destabilizing the country. This is Tripoli Central Hospital. In recent weeks, the scene of two lethal battles between rival militias trying to assert their control. Now it's firmly in the hands of Belhaj's Tripoli brigade. Too firmly for these doctors. On the day we arrived, the doctors were on strike. They were protesting a violent assault on a doctor from a young fighter just an hour earlier. He had accused the doctor of being a Gaddafi sympathizer.
الله أكبر مش على المرضى احنا واقفين في المستشفى اللي يحب ولا اللي يكره على الدكاترة المفروض اللي يضرب الدكتور يشدوه يضربوه حتى هو يعذبوه علاش؟ ها؟ وعلاش كيف يضرب دكتور؟ ما ضربوش الدكتور ما ضربوش ما ضربوش ما معناش اللي محتاجين كملنا محتاجين كملوها خلاها تكبر لا كملوها تكبر وينهم في العيد العيد وينهم العيد
I came to this base in Tripoli to interview a young commander of the Misrata forces. 33-year-old Sardoun Swaley owned a construction company before the war. Now he's one of the most powerful men in Tripoli. How many Misrata Thawar are still in Tripoli?
والله عدد ثوار مصراتة في طرابلس في مصراتة هذه كلها ليبيا الواحدة يعني ليبيا واحدة ما نقدرش نعدد لك لأن بحكم حتى من ممكن ما نعرفش من بداية الحياة إن إحنا شعب ليبي واحد.
But for all the commander's talk of one Libya, Misrata is clearly a special case. The coastal city fought longer and harder and suffered far more than anywhere else in the country. Like the Zintanis, the Misratan forces were heavily supported by Britain and France during the war. British and French special forces worked secretly in the city from the spring until the fall of Gaddafi. When Gaddafi's forces crumbled, the Misratans carefully gathered together almost all the regime's tanks, artillery and heavy weaponry. Misrata is now by far the most powerful military force in Libya. At the checkpoints that ring Misrata, non-Misratans have to wait longer to be allowed through. But some Libyans, the Tawargans, wouldn't even dare to approach the city's ring of checkpoints. This was Tawarga. Until 3 months ago, Tawarga was a desert settlement of 30,000 black Libyans and a Gaddafi stronghold. Now it's a ghost town. Throughout the spring and summer, rocket launchers based here pounded Misrata.
There's chaos here, there's burning vehicles. We can't tell you the location of this grad strike for security reasons. There's ammunition cooking off.
as the heat from the burning oil ignites the ammunition. While Gaddafi's rockets are still 40 kilometers away from the city, they're firing at maximum range and they can still hit central Misrata. Many Tuaregans volunteered for Gaddafi's forces in the siege of Misrata. In August, the Misratan counter-offensive reached Tuarega. Ransacked shops and burned out houses stand testimony to Misrata's rage. Why did they like Gaddafi?
Because they think that he will help him in our life. And we give him food and give him money and give him new Misrata, as they said. But Misrata for Misrata people only, not for the others.
Do you think it's a good thing, what happened here?
Here?
Yes, well, Tuarega.
Yes, with Tuarega?
Yes.
Yes, it's good. Because they done bad things in Misrata. They're not good at all. They don't. We don't like them to come back here.
Where should they go?
To the desert, maybe. To another place. To the north place. But here, no.
The Misratans accused the people of Tuarega of committing terrible atrocities in Misrata at the height of the siege. When they captured Tuarega in August, the Misratans took their revenge. 2 Misratan fighters offered to show us around Tuarega. They carried weapons, just in case. As every Misratan says, now there is no Tuarega, only new Misrata. All evidence of Tuarega's existence is being destroyed. شنو؟
كلها ولع النار كلها. هذا كله خلاص فينش توارغا.
توارغا خلاص.
فينش. توارغا فينش.
ليش؟
هم كاينين عايشين من مصراتة، بياكلوا في مصراتة وبيصرفوا من مصراتة ومستشفى هوسبيتال مصراتة. فهمت؟ ما فيش هوسبيتال هنا، كله يمشي مصراتة. بعد ما اقول القذافي ازحف على مصراتة اقتل، هم جي. شوف هم كاينين عايشين على في مصراتة. وبعد ما قال من القذافي اقتلوا مصراتة وخذوها هدوا على مصراتة. فهمت هذا باش؟ كاينين عايشين على مصراتة. والحمد لله.
وين توارغا؟
توارغا كلها يمشي ممكن بنغازي كلها طرابلس. فهمت؟ كلها تحت كلها. الله أكبر الله أكبر.
Many Tuaregans did serve in Gaddafi's forces. Few Misratans will ever forget or forgive the images of Tuaregan volunteers at the spearhead of the assault on their city. But whatever war crimes many Tuaregan men may have committed in Misrata, the mass ethnic cleansing of Tuarega's civilian population rests uneasily with the democratic, liberal aims of the revolution. Collective punishment is a crime under international law. The UN has condemned the expulsion of the Tuaregans, but Libya's Prime Minister has refused to join the criticism. The NTC knows that without Misrata's sacrifice, they could never have defeated Gaddafi. I went to the city's military council to meet the men who won the war for Misrata. A group of Misratan Air Force officers defected from Gaddafi's military in the first days of the revolution. Now they command Libya's most effective military force.
Does Misrata, as the military council here, now follow orders from the military leadership in Tripoli? Do you consider figures like Belhaj to be the superior commanders of Misrata?
You mean we get order from Belhaj?
Yeah.
قال لك مصراتة تتلقى الآن أوامر من بالحاج.
لا أبدا.
You captured a lot of heavy equipment from Gaddafi, tanks, ground launchers, armoured personnel carriers. What's the process of handing them in to the National Army when the National Army?
أكيد قول له بالنسبة للي موجود هنا داخل مصراتها تأكد كل التأكيد بأنها هي تحت السلطة الشرعية لكن عندما نضمن أن السلطة الشرعية تقدر أنها هي تستلم وتحافظ على هذه الأسلحة.
But until the NTC can disarm the militias that won the revolution and assert Tripoli's overall control, Libya remains at risk of slipping into chaos. At this checkpoint on the road west from Tripoli, fighters from the capital and the Washafana tribe are trying to defuse a series of bloody clashes over a strategic bridge and military base. Over a dozen fighters had been killed in days of fighting between the Washafana and Zawiya tribes.
We're here at a checkpoint on the road between Tripoli and the town of Zawiya, where yesterday and the day before there was fighting between two tribes, the local Zawiya tribe and the Washafana tribe. Reinforcements from Tripoli have come in, they've set up this checkpoint and they're telling us the fighting is over, the way ahead is clear, and we're hearing many protestations of unity between the two tribes and all tribes in Libya.
Harassed NTC politicians from Tripoli beg local tribesmen to settle their differences. Officially, the fighting's over and the situation is now calm.
You're from a Tripoli unit. So why are you here if there's no problem?
To keep quiet.
Between the Washafana and the Zawiyas?
Yes.
But yesterday there were people killed.
No?
No?
This is some people doing that will do from this problem to big problem only. That's not true. Nobody killed. Nothing. Not having this.
No?
Yes.
But at Zawiya's central hospital, we heard a different story.
There is from both sides. There is dead people, there is wounded people.
How many dead yesterday?
3, I hear. 4, yes.
Here, in this hospital?
Here, and I hear about 3 there.
The commanders in the first checkpoint between Trablus and here, Zawiya, said there were no casualties yesterday.
Yesterday?
Yes, they said
No,
nothing.
no. You can go to the hospital here and to see there is a casualty. One of them is my relative. And there is died people from both sides, I told you. This is the truth. If you want to build a good country and a democracy country, and the law is the over for all the people, we have to say the truth. What's the surprising thing? It's in both sides. They will say Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. Both sides, here and there. I hear it from both sides.
Gaddafi is gone now, so did you expect a situation like this to develop?
I think it's expected. For me, personally, I expect more than this. It's not easy to eradicate or to eliminate 42 years such like this. It's impossible. It needs time.
What's the cause of the fighting? What are people fighting for?
I don't know what's the real cause. As we hear, there's a remnant of Gaddafi forces still there. As the fighters, when they arrived from the casualty there, what they are saying, it's the remnant of Gaddafi force still there. As we hear from the media, it's the opposite thing, just a simple fight or whatever between the revolutionists from here and from the other area. But I don't think this thing is bigger than those two areas. I think because they was, as they said, they will organize, they move, they act as an army. Professional army.
By now, the Zawiya were reinforcing their positions. Armoured cars and tanks had been driven up, facing Tripoli and the Washafana. While the Zawiya had supported the revolution from its earliest days, the Washafana tribe mostly supported Gaddafi until the very end. These Zawiya officers showed me footage that they claimed proved the Washafana were still Gaddafi loyalists. When their men captured the contested base days before, they supposedly found portraits of Gaddafi and pre-revolutionary flags still hanging from its walls.
من الطبيعي بأن يتحمل أهالي ورشفان جزء كبير من هذه المسؤولية لأنهم كمجالس عسكرية المفترض بهم كانوا أن يؤمنوا المناطق وأن يمشطوا المناطق التابعة لهم إذا كان هذا لديهم حسن نية. أما إذا كانت هناك أغراض أخرى أو نوايا أخرى أو هناك من متسلقين أو من أزلام القذافي قد تخلدت المناصب العليا في المجالس الانتقالية أو العسكرية في ورشفانة وكان له.
While we were in the Zawiya barracks, a captured African was dragged in, bleeding from his mouth, and thrown into a jail. He was suspected of being a fugitive mercenary. We were forbidden to film. On the way back to the Washafana positions, warning shots were fired at our car. The situation was spiralling out of control yet again.
This is the road to Zawiya and the contested military base. Earlier this checkpoint was open. We were told the situation was calming down, but now civilian traffic is being turned back towards Tripoli. There's a no-man's land of about 15 kilometers between the two opposing sides, sporadic rifle fire between the two positions. Each side is reinforcing their forward lines. The situation here is definitely deteriorating fast.
شنو المشكلة؟ مشكلة زاوية يخش شعبية الجفارة يضرب بسلاح ويفتش في سلاح ويقتل في ناس ويطيح في مساكن بالراجمات وبالجراد. وخارجين خارج المنطقة نتاعها ب 25 كيلومتر.
بالجراد؟
بالجراد وخارجين خارج المنطقة نتاعها ب 25 كيلومتر في شعبية الجفارة.
ودرنا معاهم صلح امس في العليا غادي جت اللجنه من طرابلس مشيت شمورها درنا معاهم مفاوضات جت الساعه 10 الصبح سكروا راسهم قالوا احنا ما نبوا المشاكل وخلاص.
This isn't an image of the new Libya the NTC wants the world to see. But many Libyans, while hopeful for the future, believe the country is at risk of slipping into chaos. There are simply too many armed groups in the country, and the government is still too weak to control them. In a country with no tradition of democracy, tribal and regional fault lines remain a potential flashpoint, and an easy means for external actors to influence the new Libya. Outside the luxury hotel in Tripoli that now houses the NTC leadership, a group of Washafana tribesmen have gathered for a loud, though peaceful, protest. The Washafana accuse Mahmoud Shamam, the owner of the Qatari-funded Libya Al-Ahrar channel, of stoking the bloody clashes with the Zawiya. Libya Al-Ahrar had claimed on air that the Washafana were harbouring a fifth column of Gaddafi loyalist fighters, and even the dictator's son, Saif al-Islam himself. The channel's owner, Mahmoud Shamam, who is also the NTC's Minister of Information, finally comes out to make a humbling apology. This is a victory for peaceful protest, but also for tribal mobilization. For ambitious aspiring politicians, tribal and regional rivalries are the easiest means to success at the ballot box, but also a potential trigger for future conflict. Regional militias that fought long and hard to acquire heavy weapons and seize the capital are now loath to disarm and return to civilian life. The challenge for the new Libya is how to harness the power of regional loyalties and the costly sacrifices of the revolution to build a stable country. But for now, power in Libya still grows from the barrel of a gun.